Okay, before we do the meditation, in honor of the yahrzeit and the birthday of Moses, we'd like to say a few words about Moses because I don't think we don't really talk much about Moses as much as the Jesus, the Christians are always talking and singing about Jesus, but we don't really talk too much about Moses. And I just thought, and I wanted to share a few words and open the floor, and then we're going to do a very special meditation. As you know, Moses was born at the time that there was a decree that Jewish male children would be murdered. So Miriam, Moses' sister, my son's birthday, okay. Miriam's, the sister of Moses, confronted her father, who had issued a decree, said, divorce your wife and don't have intercourse, don't have sexual relations. We can't, be complicit and allow children, to male children to be murdered. Anyway, Miriam challenged, she was 5 years old, she challenged her father and said, your decree is worse than Pharaoh. And he agreed. And when Moses was born, said everything, it was filled with so much light. It was like you knew you were in the presence of a holy being. And when he was finally cast into the waters, Pharaoh's daughter had a revelation of that the astrologers had predicted the Redeemer of the Jewish people would come from the water. And she reached in and she grabbed Moses' basket and she was totally healed. This is the legend. Even his basket had powers, and she knew who this child was, and she raised this child. She taught this child everything that she knew about Egyptian magic, and raised him to be Moses, not growing up as a slave, but as a prince. And so there's many stories about, the things, and you may know them, the wonderful things that Moses did, going up to Mount Sinai and being there, no water, no food for 40 days. And I'm just taken by the image of Moses when he descended from the second time. The light was so shining from his face, he had to wear a veil. He had to wear a veil. Oh, let me put the light was so intense. And we know, Moses led the people and he did all these miracles. All these miracles came through him. And he was like, for the Egyptians, he was the master magician. They couldn't keep up with his magic. So they wanted to go with him. Wherever you go, Moses will go. And Moses agreed. Without even asking Hashem, he took the Egyptians out with the Jews that wanted to go, and they kind of all melded together. And we don't know where he is buried, but because I think we would have, that would be such a sight. Does anybody, I open the floor, to sing praises of Moses, to take a few minutes, and does anybody would like to say something? Just unmute yourself. in honor of his birthday and his yahrzeit. As we learned, that's a sign of completion. And I read somewhere that he died at 120, which is considered, a full life cycle. Yes, Shalom.
I have a cute one. I told it to my rabbi and he liked it. So it's something new that you might not have heard. Moses couldn't get it right with the building, the structure of the Mishkan. And Bezalel spoke up and said we should really build the structure first and then put the vessels inside. Moses wanted to build all the vessels and then build the structure around it. So I posed the question, like, what's so hard about that? That's how it's done. I'm doing construction myself now. That's what we're doing. We start out with the structure. So I came up with this novel thing. Moses was so like godly. He represents Netzach, and his brother was Hod, and so from a Netzach perspective, like he couldn't imagine a structure without God filling it from the instant that it came into existence. So that was my cute novel thought, and I said it to her. He said, "That's good answer."
Yeah. And I think we have to also appreciate how many holy rabbis, what a lineage. We don't always do that. When I wrote New Age Judaism, I dedicated it to Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, who known as the Arizal. And, he spent, 15 years in solitary meditation by himself. And he would go home. He was married. He'd go home for Shabbat, and he would hardly ever speak to his wife. Maybe he had relations with her, but that was about it. And then he was back in the hut, and he received the download. Just as Moses received the download, being 40 days in meditation at Mount Sinai, without food, without water, he received everything. We say that everything that we know about from Kabbalah, everything was received by Moses. And the Arizal, in his years of meditation, he finally got the call to go to Svat, where he only lived for a year and a half longer. And he gave over everything to Chaim Vital. And Chaim Vital spent the rest of his life writing numerous books that are very technical and beyond, based on the teachings of the Arizal. And both Moshe Rabbeinu and the Arizal and many other, they were considered like human angels by the people who were close to them. And so we want to tap into the energy of the Tzaddikim and Moses, who, would there be a Jewish people without Moses? Eileen, do you want to say something?
Yeah, that I always find Moses such an inspirational human angel, because he starts the most humble man alive. He starts out, when God calls him, it's kind of like, what, who, me? I can't do that. And he evolves to be such a great leader who speaks to God, who challenges God, the only one who could see God and live. So it's an inspiration to those of us who don't have the self-respect, self-confidence, to rise above that.
Well, I think also the main good point is humility.
Humility.
You know, they say Moses was the most humble person. When we have low self-esteem and low self-respect, that's not a sign of humility. That's a sign
Right.
of the yahrzeit, the evil part of you, is like wanting to keep you from really shining.
Right. But he rose above.
Yeah, but
he evolved.
Right. But the truth is, I don't know that Moses ever really, he knew he couldn't speak. He could receive, but he didn't have the capacity. So that's why God says, Aaron you'll do the heavy receiving and hold the energy, and Aaron will be your mouthpiece. Right. So I think, humility allows us to be able to receive. So we're going to do the meditation. Will be a little bit different today. Susie, do you want to say something before you have to unmute yourself.
Oops, yeah, apropos what you said, I always find it such an inspiration how Moshe was kvad peh. He either had a lisp or he had some difficulty speaking, which you mentioned. And what's amazing is that he gave some of the greatest speeches that were ever recorded in time. And it's just because Hashem was with him. And Hashem says that at the burning bush also. Who gave you a mouth to speak? And he could come, especially since I work with learning disabilities, it's like you can overcome anything. God can help you overcome anything. And the other inspiring thing is that Moshe was the only prophet who spoke to Hashem face to face. There was no other prophet who actually did that. It was so close to the spirituality and to Hashem. And you said before there wouldn't be any Jewish people without him, because Hashem wanted, after the golden calf, Hashem wanted to wipe out the Jewish people and just keep Moshe. And it was Moshe who defended the people and spoke up and didn't let him do that.
Right.
So it's really true that there wouldn't be any Jewish people without him, without that defense.
Right. Yeah. So it's good for us to really take a few moments to appreciate his greatness.
And it's special for me because my daughter was born on Zayin Adar also.
Okay. It's a holy day, a holy day. Okay, so we're going to do the meditation, or we'll see what comes in, because the truth is, anybody who did anything of merit in the world, anything that had lasting value, it was only because they were a channel. They didn't do it. They knew how to get out of the way. They knew how to be clear, to be able to allow God to use them. And that's one of the things that we're constantly emphasizing here through the power of meditation, to quiet the limited sense of self and open to a more expanded soul embodiment of who we really are. And that's so connected. So we'll see what we do today. So I invite you to come to a seated position, bringing your focus to the breath. Breathing deep in the belly. As you inhale, the abdomen expands. And as you exhale, the abdomen contracts. And leave one hand below the navel, bring the other hand to the heart, to the chest, and let's deepen the breath. So we're going to breathe from deep in the belly to the rib cage, to the chest. Hold the breath. Focus on the top of the head. And when you're ready, allow yourself to let go. Through the exhalation, let it go. Let go of any stress, any distraction. Allowing yourself to be present. Let's take another deep breath, receiving the breath, being with the breath as it moves through the body. And when you're ready, allowing yourself to relax and exhale. This is a time for you to relax deeply, to let go. And as you breathe in, you're making a connection between the belly, the heart, the top of the head, the yahrzeit, the the catcher. Bringing yourself into alignment. Embracing yourself on all the levels, physically, the yahrzeit, I'm embracing my emotional being. And in this space, I'm embracing my soul, my spiritual being. Appreciating that we live in a multidimensional reality, physically embodied, emotionally embodied, spiritually embodied. When you're ready, you can Bring your hands to your lap, continuing to focus on the breath. And as you exhale, allowing yourself to let go of any concerns, any worry. Giving yourself permission to be present with yourself as fully as possible. And focus on receiving the inhalation, opening to receive, realizing that you are supported, nurtured, sustained by the power in the breath. And as you exhale, allowing yourself to let go of any regrets, concerns of the past. And with each exhalation, just letting go and trusting. Safe to let go. And the more you let go, the more you're open to receive. Because the more empty you are, the more you're available to receive. So holding a prayer that you let go of what obstructs your receiving the divine influx. It's a prayer. Please, God, help me to let go of all the time, the energy I waste that doesn't serve you or doesn't serve anyone. Let me let go. Help me to let go. So every breath is a prayer. Hashem, help me to open to receive what you want to give me. And when you let go with the prayer, help me to let go of anything that's keeping me from feeling my connection with you. Help me to receive what you want to give me. Help me, God, to let go of what no longer serves me or you. Let me see the emptiness, the futility of it, and let it go. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to let go of what no longer serves me or you, God. So every breath is a prayer. Allowing the mind to be quiet so you can listen to what the soul is telling you, what God is telling you with each inhalation, holding that yearning to be of greater service. And letting go of what doesn't serve you. It gives you a false sense of security. It keeps you distant from really being present with yourself, open, empty, ready to receive. And just allow yourself to open, to experience, and don't figure it out with your mind. If feelings come up, feel them. You don't have to understand. Just being present with the prayer. I want to receive divine guidance. I want to do what I came into this world to do. And I want to let go of any self-criticism, judgment, the illusion that I'm in control. Letting go. And allowing ourselves to be humble, to be vulnerable, to be open. Now imagine that we each have an opportunity to come before Moses. You know, the Torah records how the Jews came before Moses. And we can envision Moses. I see him with this veil around his head because the light is so bright. And he's radiating light from every pore of his skin, his body, through his clothes. We have the opportunity to say our name, and I invite you to use your Hebrew name. If you have one with your first name, Bat, your mother's or your father's name, and you're in line, and you get a few seconds with him. So you're preparing yourself from this divine encounter with this holy being who's radiating light, so much light, he has to wear a veil. And you're in line and you're preparing yourself so that you are able to receive, letting go of any sense of yourself being too much, too little, no judgment, just allowing yourself to be present, to be authentic, to be vulnerable. Preparing yourself. And now it's your turn. And saying your name so he can hear it. Claiming your place in the lineage. Receiving the love, the influx of blessing just for being in his presence for a few moments. And then returning your awareness to the breath. absorbing and integrating what you received. The soul is not limited by time and space. Opening to be with yourself on the deeper levels of your being. You're not just this person that lives at this time and does these things or those things. See yourself as much more. Your soul can revisit and experience the holiness of Moses. Allowing yourself to integrate and know that we each exist on multidimensional levels. When you're ready, returning your awareness to the breath, to being in this loving circle. Letting go of any limitations of who you think you are. And allowing yourself just to welcome yourself on all these levels. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and we'll have a chance to share and connect with each other.